Because the man in question, their father, my ex-husband, or as I sometimes like to think of him, my baby daddy. So,
Elon Musk's first marriage to Justine Musk seemed to start with the expectation of a lifetime of commitment, as is the case with most first marriages. Justine continued to experience lack of intimacy, neglect, and empathy even after giving birth to their 5 sons. All of these things happened to her. Even though her love was fading, she was prepared to stay. But Elon's text message telling her that he was engaged to British actress Talulah Riley was the last straw. And yet another incident turned into a turning point in her life. Where did the pivotal event occur? What is the current status of Justine Musk? Join us as we examine why Elon Musk's wife filed for divorce from him shortly after this incident. A fast-paced romance between Elon Musk and Justine Musk. During her well-publicized divorce from Elon Musk, Justine Musk revealed details about her marriage to the multimillionaire who co-founded SpaceX, Tesla Motors, and PayPal. She revealed that in the spring of 2008, Elon, the father of their 5 young sons, had filed for divorce. 6 weeks later, he texted her to tell her that he was engaged to Talulah Riley, a much younger British actress who had moved to Los Angeles to be with him. When Talulah first met Elon, she didn't have blonde hair, despite being most famous for her part in the 2005 movie Pride and Prejudice. Given her own difficulties with Elon's attempts to look blonder, Justine found this information to be refreshing. Furthermore, her story offered insight into the early phases of their relationship, when Elon actively courted her. What might have gone wrong in those early days is what makes us wonder. What procedures were followed before the divorce was finalized? What you are going to hear is going to blow your mind. Justine was a young woman in her first year at Queen's University in Ontario, Canada, who wanted to become a writer when she first met Elon. In addition, she was still getting over the heartache she had suffered from an older lover who had disregarded her obligations. Elon was the total opposite of the type she usually was, and she was a year ahead of him. He spoke with a South African accent and had a flawless appearance. His family had a lot of money. One day, as she hurried up the stairs to her dorm room, Elon came up to her. She didn't remember going to the party where they first met, he said. Actually, Elon had been watching her from the other side of the room and was determined to meet her. He left a note on her dorm door, explaining that she had declined his invitation to ice cream. Elon, to be sure, was not the kind to give up easily. Several hours later, he found her studying in the student center and clumsily offered her 2 melting ice cream cones. His persistence paid off, and even after he transferred to Wharton, he kept sending her roses, even though he was pursuing other women. They eventually had dinner together when he finally stopped by Queen's. Justine decided to share her dream of having her books displayed in a bookshop one day while she and her friend were perusing the shelves. She had previously told a friend this sentiment, but the friend had brushed it off. Justine thought at the time that Elon's wealth was a concept that was completely intangible. Elon, a rational and numbers-driven thinker, lived in a different realm, which became increasingly clear as their relationship developed. He seemed to her like a series of zeros that didn't belong in the same universe as her. In her interview with Elon Musk, Justine Musk shared more information about her relationship with him, emphasizing how he differed from her past boyfriends. Unlike others who were more focused on her appearance, Elon was impressed by her ambition. She was competitive, which Elon liked, and he even told her that they were similar. Elon liked her competitive nature, which had been criticized in past relationships. During the time that Justine was teaching English in Japan following her graduation from college, they both parted ways. Eventually, she returned to Canada, where she focused on writing while working as a barman. Over the course of one evening, she told her sister that she would try again if Elon ever contacted her again. Coincidentally, he called after a week had gone by. Elon had already moved to Silicon Valley by then and was living in Mountain View with 3 roommates while he was starting his first .com business, Zip2. During one of their dinners together after Justine started visiting him frequently, the 2 of them discussed starting a family. When she said that she would like to have 1 or 2 kids, Elon confidently replied that she would think about having more if they could afford nannies. If, that is, they might have them. On another occasion, Elon took her to a bookshop, where he gave her his credit card and told her to buy as many books as she wanted. It was an amazing gesture that made a big impression on her. 2 years later, in January 2000, right before their wedding, Elon told her he was meeting with a lawyer to talk about a financial arrangement that his new company's board of directors had asked for. It was clear that their lives had changed dramatically, even though he had reassured her that it was not a prenuptial agreement. Elon made about $20 million overnight in 1999 when he sold Zip2. Furthermore, he bought and remodeled a 1,800-square-foot condo, which served as their first residence together. Significant changes occurred in Elon Musk's life and relationship during the early years of his career. He bought a McLaren F1, a small plane, and a sports car valued at $1 million right after Zip2 was sold. Except for the addition of flying lessons, their routine was virtually unchanged. Elon Musk's growing wealth seemed distant and almost abstract, according to a later statement by Justine Musk. He suggested that they get down on one knee on a street corner after she joked that she was worried he might choose to leave her for a supermodel. Most of Elon's recently acquired wealth was put into his next business endeavor, X.com, which would eventually become PayPal. The board proposed a financial arrangement at this point, which was really a prelude to mediation, a procedure that Justine was not entirely familiar with at the time. Around this time, the suggestion was made. Just a few months after her marriage to Elon, Justine signed a post-nuptial agreement. Because she trusted Elon and thought they would never get a divorce, she did this. She had recognized a connection with him before they were married. She thought he was her soulmate. However, as time passed, cautionary tales began to surface. During their wedding reception, Elon once told her that he was the more controlling partner in their relationship. Although she initially dismissed it as irrelevant, his actions later confirmed this. Even though he was raised in a culture that was dominated by women, Elon's competitive spirit extended beyond the workplace. It persisted throughout their marriage. This, along with the fact that their financial circumstances were different, led to an increasingly dominant dynamic wherein Elon's views were prioritized, often making Justine feel inadequate. Elon would often reply that he would have fired her if she had been an employee, even though she would remind him that she was his wife and not an employee. When PayPal was purchased by eBay in 2002, Elon's fortune soared to over $100 million. In addition, the couple had moved to Los Angeles and welcomed Nevada Alexander, their first child, into the world. The same week that PayPal was introduced to the public, Nevada, who had sudden infant death syndrome, ACIDS, tragically died. It had only been 10 weeks since his birth. After being resuscitated, Nevada was left brain dead from a lack of oxygen. He was kept on life support for 3 days until Justine and Elon had to make the painful decision to take him out of the machine. When he died, Nevada was in Justine's arms, being held by her. Elon Musk chose not to talk about their son Nevada's passing, and Justine Musk found it difficult to understand how he handled the situation. Elon considered her public display of grief to be emotionally manipulative. In order to cope, she suppressed her emotions, and less than 2 months later, she visited an IVF clinic. The couple added twins and then triplets to their family in a 5-year period. The couple made a swift decision to proceed with their plans to have more children. The fact that 3 of Justine's novels were published by Penguin and Simon & Schuster further indicates that her writing career was successful. She might still be suffering from the symptoms of depression today if a nanny hadn't recommended that she see a therapist. But after Nevada passed away, she struggled with depression for a long time. Justine eventually made the decision to try therapy in spite of her initial misgivings, and throughout those weekly sessions, she developed a fresh outlook on life. Their lifestyle had completely changed when they first moved in together, sharing a small flat in Mountain View. They had 5 domestic staff members and lived in a 6,000 square foot house in Bel Air at this time. Their lives were filled with high-profile events, from black tie fundraisers to parties with Hollywood celebrities like Paris Hilton and Leonardo DiCaprio, and their home often had the feel of a workplace. They took lavish vacations and used private planes to travel in style. In fact, they attended Larry Page's wedding, which was held on Richard Branson's private island and attended by John Cusack and Bono, respectively. But beneath the surface, things were far from perfect, even though it seemed like a dream life, full of privilege and excitement. The dissolution of Elon and Justine's marriage, which finally resulted in their divorce. Even when Elon was at home, his obsession with his work kept him from being focused. Justine longed for intimacy, empathy, and meaningful conversations. but it seemed impossible that she would ever be able to get any of these things. Justine was compelled to sacrifice her wish for a normal family life, as long as Elon kept focusing on his work. He no longer thought her book deadlines were significant, and his encouragement for her writing had waned over time. As the tension grew, it often showed up as arguments, with Elon focusing on her alleged flaws. With the passage of time, Justine began to feel inconsequential and concerned about the impact this dynamic would have on their 5 young sons. What other factors contributed to the escalation of tension? Were any of these incidents caused by Justine's misconduct? The most interesting part is still to come, so keep listening. One of Justine Musk's turning points was an automobile accident that happened in the spring of 2008, 8 years after the couple's marriage. The collision specifics were clear, and she instantly considered how her husband, Elon Musk, would respond to being a part of the collision as soon as her car struck another car. It was at this point that she became acutely aware of the changes that had occurred in her life. She had achieved the feeling of being a trophy wife and was leading a life that no longer felt like her own. She could no longer understand who she was. Even though she had platinum blonde hair and a slender figure, Elon, who had always pushed her to get even blonder, didn't seem to notice how unhappy she had become. Justine felt as though she had fallen into a role she didn't want to be in. She had no interest in entertaining guests, keeping their home immaculate, or meeting the expectations of beauty in their high-profile life. She said that she wanted to be in a relationship and longed for a change, an affection that existed between them before Elon's financial success. Elon was willing to take part in counseling, but he was unable to handle the stress of running 2 businesses. Only a couple of sessions later, she was given an ultimatum: get the marriage back on track as quickly as possible, or risk divorce. The very next day, Elon filed his divorce petition. That being said, Justine felt a strange sense of relief in addition to her initial surprise. She didn't start to understand the importance of the postnuptial agreement she had signed 8 years prior until then. With the exception of their home, she had given up many of her marital rights by signing it, including claims to their joint assets. However, her legal team believed that they could challenge the agreement by claiming that it lacked full financial disclosure, which is required by the terms of the marital fiduciary duty. The divorce process became a significant turning point as their relationship ended. Additionally, a documentary that aired on the BBC in October 2022 claims that Justine learnt of Elon's divorce proceedings from their therapist. Justine will always remember that moment, which also happened to be the end of their years together. Elon Musk participated in a big merger between XCOM and Confinity, which would later become PayPal, around the time he and Justine Musk signed their post-nuptial agreement. This merger resulted in a substantial increase in the value of Elon's X.com stock, which was much greater than what was stated in the post-nuptial agreement. Justine's lawyer contended that this might make the contract void and fraudulent, regardless of whether it was an oversight or a purposeful omission. However, the confidentiality of the mediation made the challenge to the agreement more challenging. The legal question that would decide the outcome of their divorce case, which had been pending in the California court system for over 2 years, was whether or not the marital fiduciary responsibility duty should be superseded by the confidentiality of mediation. 2 years after they started their separation, the case was brought before the court, and Elon won the case. However, the judge recognized the complexity of the case and allowed the appeal to be filed, meaning that it might take over a year to reach a decision. Justine decided to make some changes in her life as a result of their split. Her choice to cut and dye her hair dark represented a fresh start. A new romantic relationship was also started with someone she had known for a very long time. One night in particular, he took her to see a play by Eve Ensler performed. Justine realized that this world was very different from the one she had been living in while observing the women in the audience, which included well-known individuals like Arianna Huffington. In her former life, women were often the wives or girlfriends of their husbands, or personal assistants to affluent couples. As they entered their 30s, their roles were reduced to handling household affairs, and it seemed as if they had disappeared from the scene. Justine felt as though she was regaining her independence and the ability to write her own life during that night. She was surrounded by strong, aspirational women, even though she is no longer in contact with Elon Musk and only talks to his assistant about their kids. Justine Musk has no regrets about her marriage to him. She was angry at herself for believing in a fairy tale that she felt should have been seen more clearly, as well as at Elon for giving her the impression that she could be replaced. Over time, she learned to control her anger. Although this is the case, she still holds Elon in high regard as a brilliant and visionary figure. Furthermore, she doesn't lament their divorce. Even though the court battle over their property was still ongoing, the marriage itself was formally dissolved. According to reports, Elon and Justine are getting along well with their kids who share custody. Justine now feels more a part of her life and communicates a deep sense of appreciation for the experiences she has had. It's an intriguing development that Justine managed to maintain a good rapport with Elon's fiancée, Talulah, throughout the divorce process. In spite of the fact that some people thought it was strange that Justine had no animosity towards Talulah, the two became friends. Justine even reached out to Talulah, telling her that she wanted to deal with the situation politely and steer clear of the drama that could be expected in such a situation. With Talulah's consent, their friendship blossomed. Talulah was a bright young woman who seemed to fit Elon's lifestyle better than Justine ever had. Talulah had dark hair when she first met Elon, but their relationship soon made her even blonder than Justine had ever been. As a writer today, Justine has authored several novels. She currently lives with her 2 dogs and 5 sons in Los Angeles. Elon Musk married Talulah Riley in 2010 following a brief romantic relationship. It was his second marriage. Actress Talulah Riley is from Britain. He began dating Justine Musk shortly after his divorce from her, and the two soon gained widespread attention. They appeared to be living a happy life together when they first met, with a shared love of technology and innovation. Unfortunately, as time went on, their marriage ran into problems. A gap began to form between them as a result of differences in their lifestyles and goals for their lives. In 2012, merely 2 years after getting married, they decided to get a divorce. Elon Musk is currently going through his second divorce. Even after their divorce, Elon and Talulah persisted in trying to get back together, and in 2013, they got married again. However, the underlying issues they were facing were not resolved by their second marriage. As time passed, the couple realized they couldn't work out their differences, which finally resulted in a second split in 2016. The decision to split up was influenced by a number of factors, including the demands of their public lives and the challenges of juggling their marriage with their personal goals. Elon and Talulah ultimately decided that they would be better off living apart, which led to the relationship's permanent dissolution. I would like to know what you think about the couple's relationship. Despite everything that had transpired, was the divorce inevitable? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, tell your friends about it, and subscribe to our channel. Keep in mind that the next video will show up on your computer. You're going to enjoy yourself.